going on today, guys? I thought I'd do something a little bit different than I'm used to. I thought I'd get outside in the sunlight, I know, outside, and make a video for you guys. Today I'm playing some disc golf, and I wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind for a little bit now, and that is my top 10 favorite cartoon conspiracy theories of all time. As you guys know, the channel has hundreds of these videos on it. It's been a big part of the channel since the very, very beginning, from way back in the day. I've been doing these for like 6 or 7 years now, and I thought today would be a good idea to take a look at some of my favorites and play some disc golf while we do it. So let's hop into it. This list, I thought I would start off with one I made about 4 or 5 years ago at this point. One of my favorite shows was a kid growing up, and that is Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends on Cartoon Network. As you guys know, I'm a huge fan of all cartoons from that era, especially that was the kind of stuff I was watching. And this theory just kind of resonated with me. I kind of liked it. It made a lot of sense, and it really changed the whole dynamic of the show. And that's the kind of theory that I enjoyed the most. And this theory, and I don't really want to go too much into them. I'll leave links to all the actual videos if you want to check out the full theory. Just going to talk about it a little bit. But this one was pretty mind-blowing. This one claimed that Frankie, who is one of the main characters in the show, and who's supposed to be a human, is actually in fact an imaginary friend of Madame Foster. It's just a younger version of herself, and she had her around to help out with the chores around the house and keep the rest of the imaginary friends in line. And that blew my mind as a complete possibility. I mean, that made kind of good sense, and I really enjoyed that one. One of my favorite videos and one of the earlier theories that I did on the channel. Next up was another really cool theory that I did on Toy Story 3 that I love, because you guys know I love all things Disney and Pixar. So I was very excited when I saw this one, and it just kind of resonated with me. Again, all these really just stuck with me, and they changed the way you think about these characters, and they changed the way you think about these movies completely. And this one, of course, is the one that says that Sid is actually a hero in the third movie. Now, if you don't remember who Sid is, he's the kid from the very first movie. He forges his toys, kind of the bad guy a little bit. But in the third movie, he makes a little bit of a cameo as a garbage man, and we kind of can put together that he's out there as a garbage man to start saving toys, because he got enlightened. He knows that the toys are sentient, so he chose a path to become a garbage man so he can save the toys from destruction, and he becomes a hero in a sense, and it completely flips his character around. One of my favorite Pixar theories I've ever covered, and one that I was really happy to put out way back in the day, and I cannot wait for Toy Story 4 coming very soon. It's not that bad for driving with one hand on the camera, but we're doing better. We'll get to this next hole. Alright, the next one I want to talk about, number 7 on my list, is a couple of cartoons put together. Some of my favorites from my childhood growing up. I know I say that about every one of these shows, but these really were. And that is the Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Lab coming together for one theory. And this theory was really, really interesting to me. And it wasn't actually too long ago that I made this video, probably about 2 or so years ago, so not too far off. But this theory says that Dee Dee was actually a failed Powerpuff Girl experiment where Professor Plutonium was trying to make the perfect little girl, so how to sugar, spice, everything nice, but he didn't add the chemical X, and he ended up with Dee Dee and gave her up for adoption, and she ended up being in Dexter's Lab. Now, there's actually a little bit of evidence for this because the two shows do cross over a few times. Dexter is seen in Powerpuff Girls, and Powerpuff Girls are seen in Dexter's Lab, and vice versa, and a few other crossover characters there as well. So I thought it was a very interesting theory, one that I actually really enjoyed, and it may not be true, but in my heart it is, and that's why I enjoyed this one so much. Next one I really wanted to talk about was one of my favorite cartoons more recently, and that was the season 5 of Samurai Jack. Genny Tartakovsky really came back and did a great job wrapping up that series, but I made a theory on it just last year about why Samurai Jack doesn't age. Now, if you know anything about this, season 5, 50 years have passed between the events of the end of season 4 and the beginning of season 5, but Jack doesn't age. Well, this theory tries to explain why he doesn't age, and I think it did a very good job of it. It got really in-depth and got really technical with all the space-time continuum and all kinds of time-traveling theories. And I thought it was really cool, pretty interesting to get into all that kind of stuff, and it all kind of actually made a little bit of sense when I put it all together. And I was really proud of how that video turned out, and it's one of the theories that I think I can actually stand by and say this actually makes sense, and one that I enjoyed making, and one of my favorite shows growing up, and I love to see it go like that. One of my favorite videos on the channel. Now, next up, you guys know I've been really into Rick and Morty since like the very beginning of the series, but last year The channel really blew up a lot of Rick and Morty stuff. I was doing tons of it. I was absolutely enthralled in season 3. I loved every second of it. And one of the funniest theories that come out of season 3 was why they eat poop. Now, I know there's been a big thing about this in a couple other episodes. They mentioned eating poop like in a movie and from an alternate dimension from Cable show. And there's also been, they make fun of Doofus Rick for eating poop apparently. But this one, they're actually at the doctor and there's Morty's math teacher admits to eating poop. And this theory talks about why he may have done that. And it actually got a really cool tie into season 1 and it makes perfect sense. There's also another theory that went along with it. But this was another one of those videos that I just absolutely loved doing. I was really having a good time making this video. And not only that, it made a lot of sense. And that's what really made it better for me, is it enhances the episode and enhances the show. So if you're really a true fan, you can pick out these little things and kind of piece them together between seasons. And that's what I love about these kind of theories. And that's why I love that video so much. Whew, it's goddamn sweaty here. But another Toy Story theory makes my next on the list here, and that is the Toy Story divorce theory. And this one really strikes a chord and hits you right in the feels because it makes so much sense. If you stop to think about it, you don't really notice as many of the human characters in that show. Obviously, being Toy Story, it's not about the humans quite as much. But one of the things you don't really pick up on, and you really should, is that Andy's father is nowhere to be found in any of those movies, and not even mentioned, anything like the sort. And you start to think about it, well, in the very first movie, they were moving into a brand new house. What do you do when you get a divorce? You move out, you get a new house, and you take the kids with you. That's how deep and dark this theory got, and it makes a lot of sense because Andy's mother doesn't have a ring on her finger. There's not a single picture frame in any of the house that shows any of the father. They never mention it, nothing. And basically just came to the conclusion that there was a divorce or a death in the family, and this video really hit me in the feels. And I mean, it's kind of sad, but I did enjoy making this video. And again, one of those kind of theories that makes you change your outlook on the entire movie, and that's why I love making them. Keeping along the themes of pretty dark Disney theories that I've done, but one I really enjoyed is the reasoning why none of the Disney princesses ever have any mothers. And this one got incredibly dark, and dark in the real world, not even just in the cartoons. Now, if you've noticed, there's been a lot of, not even a lot, all of the Disney princesses, except for maybe one or two now and there, don't have mothers, or they have stepmothers. They don't mention their mothers, things like that. And then also in a lot of movies, Disney movies, the reoccurring theme of their mothers dying or being dead or already gone, like Bambi, for example. This is kind of a reoccurring theme, and the theory behind this is that because Walt Disney's mother died in an accident that he blamed himself for in real life. She actually died in real life. Some kind of a house explosion in a house he had purchased with her, and he blamed himself for it. So a lot of the themes and the stuff like that after that got kind of dark towards his mother, and people kind of attribute that to Walt Disney never letting himself off the hook for it, blaming himself for his mother's death, and kind of subconsciously putting it into his movies there on after that. It was an incredibly dark theory, but one that I really enjoyed making and was a lot of fun doing the research on, and one of my better videos on the channel. All right, coming in at number 3 on my list, it was one of my favorites, my very first theory I ever did on the channel, and that was the Rugrats Theory. Now, this is one of the most popular cartoon conspiracies out there. I'm sure that you guys have all heard it before. If not, like I said, all these videos are in the description. Go check it out. This was actually a dual com with my good buddy John Solo, aka John Gasm back then. We actually did this video together, and one of my good buddies, and I loved making this video. It was just so much fun talking about these characters, this awesome dark theory, and doing it with one of my best friends at the time was just so much fun. It was a great video. It came out really well. I enjoyed it. Like I said, the theory is pretty dark. It's about all of the kids in Rugrats being dead except for Angelica, and they're all in her mind. She got schizophrenia. It gets out of hand. It's just super off the rails crazy, but one of those you just love to hear. It kind of enhances it, even though it's not true, it's not canon, it's not actually what's happening. It's one of those kind of like creepypasta-like almost, but I like those theories too, and they're always really fun. And that was, like I said, the very first one that I ever did on the channel was the Rugrats Theory, and that's why it's number 3 on my list. Alright, coming in at the runner-up spot for my second favorite all-time cartoon conspiracy video I've ever done has to be the Disney Frozen, Tarzan, and Tangled references. How these all interconnect, and there was so much crazy work put into this by other people, and tons of theorists out there were making these videos at the time, and it was absolutely great how it connected all of these movies together, all these characters together. They found out that Tarzan is actually the long-lost brother of Anna and Elsa, and then on top of that, it was all confirmed by the creators of the shows, and it all makes perfect perfect sense. And it's all because these people put these little Easter eggs together. You know, the ship sank with her parents on it. They washed up. They were in Tarzan. That's Tarzan, and that's why I love that video. That video was absolutely amazing, and one of the coolest things I've ever had on the channel, and one of them I'm most proud to put on the channel as well. And that's why it's coming in at number 2 on today's list. Alright guys, finally the number 1 spot on today's list, and I know you probably already knew this one was coming, and that is the Ed, Edd and Eddy Purgatory Theory. Again, very early on, this is probably the second theory I ever put on the channel way back in the day. One of the first ones I ever even read way back in the day, almost 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's crazy to think we've been doing this for so long. But this theory had it all. Not only was it one of my favorite shows growing up, it's my favorite characters, but it just made so much sense and it fit perfectly. Apparently each kid is from a different time, different decade, and they're all stuck in purgatory. Each kid had a death story of how they died, why they died, and when they died, and it all fit. It made perfect sense. Everything lined up. Again, one of those theories that's not canon, but it's just kind of a creepypasta-like read, but it's so good that you just can't ignore it, and it's such an amazing video. Check that one out. I've actually done that video twice. I actually did it way back in the day, and then I remade the video, so I'll leave a link to both if you guys want to watch either of them. But yeah, those are my favorite cartoon conspiracy theories. I get this asked all the time, so I thought I would take a time out of my day to make this video for you guys, explain what they were, and maybe do a little disc golfing with you guys and let you guys see what I do in my everyday life a little bit as well. Let me know if you guys see something you guys would be more into, if you guys want to see more videos like this, or if you guys like the voiceover stuff, or you guys like in the studio stuff. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on this. Also, please let me know what your favorite theories are down in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this. What are your favorite shows? What are your favorite theories? Let's make some more, and hopefully we'll get some more theories coming out to you very soon. But until next time, guys, remember that it's always Kmack time somewhere. Until then, take it easy and peace out.